I will read a passage of the scripture and then draw lessons there, how it affects us. It is a story that was recorded in the book of 2 Kings from chapter 4. The story went this way. A trainee prophet or a prophet had a wife, had a family. So this person happened to be somebody that is devoted to service of God. But he's a family man with wife and children. In the course of his service to his God, he incurred some debts and was unable to pay up those debts until he died. So after his demise, his creditors decided to come to recover their money. They came to recover the debt that was owed to them. Of course, you should know what the case should be. While the man was around, they were not able to even carry out their financial obligations, not to talk of having excess. Now it's just one party, the wife, the widow. They came and she had nothing to give back. So the people decided to lay hand on any valuable item that they have as a means of debt recovery. And the greatest asset they could find were their children, young kids. So upon sending that notice that they were coming for debt recovery, and then the collateral that they will take will be their children, the woman cried out to the mentor of his husband, which happened to also be a prophet, and then told him, look at the situation of my family. As she narrated the circumstance, narrated the life history of his husband. This guy was very, very devoted, always around, feared God, was always, he's a nice guy, was a very good person. Very, very good person. From her description, her husband was a very nice person. But unfortunately, all of these qualities could not save them from financial embarrassment. So that is where I am going. No matter how you try to be nice, there are certain things that if you don't know and you don't do, you will still be embarrassed. Your family might still be embarrassed. I'm saying this because we need to take our destinies in our hands. Many a times people will try to say that religion is the reason Africa is poor. I don't quite believe or accept that conclusion, that generalization. It's not religion per se, but rather the attitude of people towards religion is what contributes to how their lives pans out. You observe some people that will spend the whole of their time in a religious gathering from morning till night, either in the name of trying to be a nice guy, and they don't want to take their destiny by their hand. At the end of the day, just being religious doesn't put food on anybody's table. I'm not saying that there is no God factor in success. The last video I made, I remember mentioning that there is always a God factor, and it is that God factor that will give you inspiration that will lead to idea production and creativity. It's God that gives those inspiration. You remember the Lord thy God, for it is he that giveth the power to make wealth, that he may confirm the covenant which he had with your father today, as it is today. So God gives inspiration, and will not literally give you money, but will give you a seed which is already there in the heart of each and every one of us. We give us something that is like a seed, and it is our responsibility to process them and then market those things, and then in return you can make some money. So religion in itself is not entirely the reason why people are poor, but our attitude to religion. People need to ask themselves some questions. All the while that you have been doing a particular thing, how did it improve your life? When I talk about improving your life, meeting your needs. This man became an embarrassment to his family, but the wife learned to do something he did not learn. The wife went to the master of his husband, complained that, look, my husband died a poor man and left us indebted to some people, and look at the calamity we have found ourselves. The prophet asked him a question, which is what we should be looking out for when we find ourselves in such organizations, whether religious organization, whether church or anywhere, because God is the source of inspiration. Every wisdom comes from God. So he's the source of inspiration. This woman went to the prophet and to complain, and the prophet asked him a question. Young lady, I've had your issue, I've had a complaint that you brought to us. Now my question is, what do you have? Which is where we will start from. We should start from recognizing what we have. We must acknowledge the things we have, because it's to the person that has that more will be given. An individual that believes he or she doesn't have anything, there is no hope of getting anything. And then the woman almost fell for it. She said, I don't have anything, no, but thanks be to God, there was a but. He said, but a little flask of oil, that little flask of oil, no matter how small the thing is enough. Recognize that little thing that you have. You know, people will say, there's no way you pray and get money. Yeah, correct. But you can pray to get idea. Money doesn't answer to prayer, but it answers to idea generation. If you are able to solve the problem of somebody, definitely you will get an exchange for the solution you have brought. So the lady was advised to look inward to discover what they have. So let's start by looking inward. Recognize one thing that you are sure is there with you. What do you have? I know a man that, you know, most of the things he does on social media is to pray. He recognized that he could pray, and then he capitalized on what he could do, and today he has become a success. Yeah, some other people believe that they can talk, and today they've developed that skill and they're making money from just talking. The bottom line is, the man told the woman, look for what you have, and the moment you discover what you have, look around from your neighbors and then borrow what you don't have. It takes humility to accept the things you don't have and to be willing to get contribution from others. What you have will never be enough for you to hit that success. No man is an island. A tree does not make a forest. Many people pay attention to the miracle that happened, but let's pay attention to the process. You must recognize that you have something. Also recognize that you lack something. The little flask of oil she had was not enough for the miracle. So that talent you think you have, it will not also be enough, but it's the starting point. He said, look around, as much neighbor as possible, go and borrow. It also means that somebody should throw away pride and be willing to take contribution from others. Borrow. You borrow what you don't have enough or what you don't have at all. So let's be willing. After you have identified what you have, be willing to take contributions to others, meaningful contributions from others. How much more support do you need to bring that your idea to life? How many people do you think you need to support that your idea? How many have you reached out to, or how many will you reach out to this year? You know, some people out of pride want to be the beginning and the end. They want to be the Alpha and Omega. The idea began with them and ended with them. No, let's not repeat those mistakes. You have something, you have received an inspiration, you have received an idea. It's beautiful. You have a skill, you have a gift, wonderful. But is it enough? How many more people do you think you need to make that thing a success? Make those lists. Go around, look for the people, appeal to them, beg them if it's possible, entice them if it is possible, in order to bring them to your team, so that that little cruise of oil will begin to generate marketable solution. That was not all. That woman was also observed to follow instruction. Follow instruction. She was told, go borrow vessels from your neighbors. Make sure you bring your children inside the house with you. Lock up the house. She did exactly as was instructed. It means that for us to achieve success in life, we must be willing to take instruction, not just asking questions. Why must I do this, or why mustn't I do this? We should be willing to take instruction. No matter what we know, we should be willing to take instruction. There was an incident that happened between Peter and Jesus. Peter happened to be a fisherman, a professional fisherman, but he did all he could in a particular night and did not get any catch. But somebody that he believes to know more than him gave him instruction: lay down your nets Peter didn't argue, in spite of the fact that he is a professional in fishing, and the person giving that instruction is not actually a professional in fishing, but he knows that this individual knows more than him in other things. He said, because you have said it, I will do it. Peter obeyed and let down the net, and that was another miracle. You see, instruction goes before miracle. Obedience to instruction will breed miracle. It's unfortunate we live in times where everybody know everything. You know, if it is in some palace, they say king that nobody advises. A king that nobody advises. They don't take advice from anybody. No. They say a wise man will hear and will increase in learning. It takes somebody to be wise for him to hear and will increase in learning. So if you hear and doesn't increase in learning, it means you are not wise. So it's also a year for us to take instruction. And the summary of the whole conversation was, after the whole process of production, there was something that the prophet didn't do for the woman. He told the woman, now these things are the things you have produced. Take part of it, pay your creditors, and the other parts, go and sell them so that you can live with the rest of the fund. Listen, if you are not selling anything this year, forget it. If you don't have anything to market, forget it. It doesn't matter how much you will pray. If at the end of your prayer, you didn't come up with something that you are willing to sell, it could be your time, it could be your skill, it could be your craft. Last, you just have to get something you must sell, and you'll be the one to market that stuff. Now, the question is, what are you going to sell? You know, we are in an economy that they say is free, willing buyer, willing seller. People are willing to buy from you. If you can give them what they need, and you'll be willing to sell to somebody, if the person is willing to give you the amount of money that you also need, make sure you have a product you want to sell, an idea you want to sell, a service you want to sell. If you think you are good in writing, begin to write. It could be script, it could be movie, it could be song, it could be whatsoever. You can write a book and sell it to somebody else. The person will pay you and then take ownership of what you wrote. Remember, a tree does not make forest. I need you and you need me. Those that are whatever religion you think you are, you're a Christian, after you are finished praying, make sure you come back with an idea that you can transform into services or solution or product that people will be willing to pay money for. Else, you might end up as a disappointment to your family. And finally, you become a disgrace even to the faith you think you are professing. This is my advice to each and every one of us. Let's make use of our brain, make use of our hands, make use of our heads. Thank you and God bless you.